from my experience here in South Florida, it could be different if someone's watching from Minnesota or
Minnesota.
The typical rates for this type of what some people call hard money or investor lending is typically around 12%, and it can be different. I know sometimes there's a little less or a little more, and normally there's maybe a point or two involved. And by a point, for those people who don't know, or three, if the loan is $200,000, a point means that the lender or the broker is charging $2,000, so that's 1 point,
right.
1%.
Well, let's dissect it.
Please
because
do.
What's interesting is when I started borrowing hard money over 30 years ago, the rates here, standard rates, no matter who you went to. Now, granted, you're buying properties like in Pompano for 30, 40 grand, maybe 50 grand, in Boynton for 20, 25, 30 grand. And the rates were 3 points, 15%, no matter who you went to. Tampa, back at that time, was 5 points and 15%. The market differs really sometimes county to county or state to state. And
by region.
What I do know, let's just focus on South Florida. And I'm giving you my perspective because there's going to be people that are different. But your interest rate's going to be anywhere. It could be as low as 9. Now that's rare, but typically somewhere between 10 and 13 is accurate. Somewhere between 2 to 3 points. There are these, some lenders charge junk fees, but I'm going to go on record and tell you because you prepare my closing statements, and it's very simple. We have a $150 inspection fee. We go to look at the property if it's a single-family home. We have $500 for doc prep on a single-family home it's payable to your law firm. And then we have a $50 wire fee, a $200 administration fee, and that's it.
Got it.
Every other charge is title charges, and we don't require a survey. We don't require home inspection. I lay eyes on the property. If I'm going to see a property of Larry's and Larry's a sophisticated guy, and I could say, hey, did you see this structural crack here? That could be something that we need to pay attention to. Like, do you have experience with that? Whatever. I'll just give you an example. Sure. I'm looking for something. If I'm going to look at a deal, if I'm actually physically inspecting it, there's a 99% chance I'm doing a loan. I don't leave my office unless I think I have a deal.
Got it.
So
you'll do some quick basic underwriting, go on Zillow or Google or look at the images.
Did you say the Z word? No, I will not go on Zillow. Okay, Zillow is not the big real estate disruptor that they think they are.
How are you
Zillow can kiss my ass.
How are you getting your estimated prices?
Okay.
How are
Let's
you getting
go there.
I'm learning not to assume anything with David.
No. You know what happens when you do that. So there are some credible ways to find comps, but I'm a licensed realtor and I use the MLS because most stuff is sold on the MLS.
That's the way to do it.
That's smart.
So but now here's what I'll do. Let's say you have a 3-2 and it's 1,500 square feet. Then I want to match it with a 3-2 that's 1,500 square feet. Garage, no garage, water. I'm taking, apples to apples comparison going back 6 months. And I do not use Zillow. Zillow is inaccurate information.
Yeah. And I didn't, just so you know, to defend myself, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that was going to be your final underwriting. Right. But if while they're on the phone,
is that your final answer?
For 3 minutes, if you so I do that fairly often. Like, not that I underwrite deals or anything, but I will have someone that will ask me, "Oh, I've got this deal. I don't know if it's a short sale or not." So I just go to Zillow real quick and look. Okay, $300,000. How much is your mortgage? And let's say it's $350,000. Right. Well, you're underwater. Probably.
In your defense, you don't have access to the MLS.
And I don't have access to the MLS. So
but you're an attorney. You get your license.
There you go. Right. I have it.
And you have enough people that can get you access to MLS.
So you underwrite the deal, you feel comfortable with it, and then what would be reasons why someone might have a little lower rate, like let's say a 10% rate as opposed to a 12% rate?
Credit, experience, capital.
Okay. Someone who's come back to you 3 and 4 times and they've done 3 or 4 successful deals.
Yes.
Got it. You'll talk about slightly lower rates with them. Got it.
What are you mostly lending on these days? Like, what are you doing?
Great question, Larry. So my wheelhouse mostly is single family.
Okay.
I've done some construction. I did one of my borrowers who does unbelievable work. So I've loaned him some money for that.
Ground up or
Yep.
just, okay, interesting.
And rare that I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of experience. I'll do multifamily. I will do office warehouse. I will not do strip centers.
Why is that?
Because I think retail is up for some big challenges.
Got it. So this is a more recent change, since COVID, more or less.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
but you
I
would
did
have
do a
done
lot
it
of
maybe
retail.
5 years ago.
I have, there's one retail loan that I did in Wilton Manors, and gosh, I mean, he still has a loan out, and
Wow.
equity is huge. So I'm okay with something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
if you have a retail where you own it and there's a sufficient equity, I'm not going to turn it down.
Right.
But it's just
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to do it.
You underwrite the deal like you're an investor, right? When you
That's
loan
correct.
on deals.
So I look at it this way: I don't want to fund a deal that I wouldn't necessarily want to own myself. And however crazy that sounds, like I'm underwriting, and I'm going there. I'm underwriting something now. It's a multifamily on Tamarind. Now, if you follow, and I don't care.
That's my neck of the woods, by the way.
Okay,
I own
listen.
a fair amount of property
It's
there.
historically a
Good
high
for you.
crime
Yeah.
area in West Palm Beach.
And you know something?
And,
I've owned stuff.
Yeah.
I own a duplex on 7th Street.
All right.
It wasn't all right.
Yeah.
Because when I closed on it, there was a guy, I went there, and he said, "Hey, man, I just got out of jail. You mind if I hang out here?" I said, "Yeah, I mind. Get your ass out."
It's tough. You have to buy right in those neighborhoods. And
Okay.
if you didn't,
Now, here's the lesson I learned.
yep.
I put a sign, professionally made sign. Section 8 okay, 0 deposit. Nobody wanted to rent. When I went back to this duplex the second time, he was in the house. This is the back unit. He broke in. He was camping out there. Called the police. Called 911. They didn't come.
Yeah, I know.
I called the deputy outside. He's outside his jurisdiction and came and arrested the guy.
Wow.
And so here's the thing. In certain areas, if you've got the stomach for it and you've got the track record, I'm interested.
Sure.
If it's not your cup of tea, don't make it your cup of tea.
Yeah. As like one of my third or fourth deals early in 2013, 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, and didn't entirely know what I was doing, didn't appreciate what I was getting into.
Okay.
I closed the day after. SWAT stormed the building to pull out somebody who was wanted, and I quickly learned, and then we had to quickly put in place systems to get our hands on that, because our option was sell the building and get the heck out of this situation, which was an option. We considered it, or weather the storm and make this somewhat of an expertise, and we chose to make it an expertise, and we've since bought other buildings in there, and again, you have to pay the right number for that stuff. There's stuff for sale in there right now that I wouldn't pay. I've brokered deals in that market and other markets like that for multifamily investors, but yeah, it's tough. And I always have the same conversation. Do you understand the consequences of what you're choosing to do here?
Right.
And are you ready for that?
And along those lines, I'll fund in Pahokee and Belglade very selectively.
And I won't buy in those two markets because it's not my expertise, too far away, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And I know those markets well enough to say,
I'm going to shout out to him, my oldest borrower, who's also my oldest borrower. So when I started lending 22 or 3 years ago, I loaned to the Reverend A.C. Evans. So Rev, if you're listening, Reverend is 90 plus years old. And I go out to Pahokee and Belglade and South Bay for him. But he steals out there.
And if you understand that market, you can do it.
He understands
Awesome.
it. And
So just got to be cash cows out
also,
there. They just must cash. It just the prices of things are so different than 30.
But wait a minute,
30 miles away in Wellington,
But there's a huge disparity. On one side of the street, you have big sugar money like the Fanholes. On the other side, you have the poorest of the poor.
I get it.
I sold and loaned to the biggest building in Belglade, 70 plus units, and then I foreclosed about 15 years ago, and I resold it, to an attorney in Miami, who I believe still owns it today.
I know who that is. Oh my
Abby?
gosh.
Abby?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because I was approached. I think she's trying to sell it now.
Boy, I give her credit for owning
We'll
that.
talk offline about that.
Yeah. Anyway,
But there you go. Another small world incident. Yeah.
No one's buying it. So like,
Whoa.
Yeah.
You want to go there? What happened?
demand is weird there. That's the whole
so
thing.
the guy
Like, you
I
gotta
loaned
understand
to
it.
was a big Jamaican guy. I said to him, "You sure you can handle this?" "Oh yeah, no problem, man. Everything gonna be good." He would call me, "Man, they're stealing the pipes. They're stealing the copper."
Totally.
It's like this is it became a real shit show. So
Well, that's same in the areas that we were just talking about that I own in. Like that is another skill set that you need to have when you're doing big renovation projects, which I've done there, like big projects there. And you got to have extra protection. You got to have
Yes.
things boarded up.
Yes.
All these things are like
air conditioning units in Riviera Beach and Central West Palm. They would steal the central
I know
AC
all
units,
about it.
and you'd,
Yeah,
you'd
I
have
know
to
you
bolt
do.
them
Wait,
into
wait,
the
wait.
concrete. And
Listen,
even
first
then,
of all, I'm going to tell you, I owned a house on Camilla Street in West Palm off Parker, and I was renting it, and I wound up selling the house. But I remember I'm getting, it's all ready for rent, and I get a call from a realtor. Are your French doors supposed to be open in the back?
Oh no! Yikes.
No. He said, well, you want me to walk through it and see what's up? I said, if you don't mind.
yeah.
He said, did you have appliances in there?
Oh no!
Gosh.
No, wait. He said, can you just do me a favor? I just put in 2-zone air conditioning, put in 2 brand new. I had $10,000 just vanish.
Oh no!
And,
Not fun.
it was not fun.
You got to get these things leased up fast in those markets.
Yes.
Because when people are there, it's
They normally
better.
don't.
Right.
It's not perfect, but it's better.
But it was worse. It's gotten a bit better. But, look, there's obviously challenges. You have to, it's, again, the nuances, the experience, all this adds up. And in your short time, you've had obviously a lot of experience and you learn from them. Now, I'm at a different point. I don't, like if it's a major rehab, I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore.
You pick your battles. Yeah,
Yes.
you can pick them at this point, so that's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of picking battles or picking investments, let's just talk about the lending from the lender side too, because I mentioned before that I've done hard money loans out from the lender side at least 4 different times over the years. It's all been great experiences because I've been paid, of course. We had reasonable LTVs. I think most of them were about 65% or 70% loan to value. So there was a lot of spread and equity in there, which is great.
Good.
And then I was getting 12% interest on these, which was great as well. It's a really passive income, and especially for times like right now, I think being a lender in this with these types of private loans is incredible because it is hard to find cash flowing decent ROI deals. Now, you can find them. You have to look a lot harder, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But if you can get passive income at 1% a month, it's pretty nice.
It's mailbox money.
It's mailbox money.
Now, I'll ask you and I'll challenge you. Maybe CDs are paying 4% now. Mm-hmm. Okay. We know what the prime rate is. For an average investor, if a 5 or 6 cap is good enough for you, well, God bless you. But it ain't good enough for me.
Yep.
So I need to have at least a 10 cap on any rental property I own. That's just me.
Sure.
Now
that's a big number. That's like, I don't want to say impossible to get here in South Florida, but it's very hard, right?
Agreed.
Which is why you've gone to the mountains of North Carolina.
And I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk
I know
about that
you do.
shortly. Yeah. Online and offline.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, depending on what your risk tolerance is.
Exactly.
If you're a lender, basically my job is to get you mailbox money. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't service loans because to service loans you need a license, and but I underwrite, and I know how to underwrite, and I know how to match a borrower with a lender. And if you tell me, hey David, I want to put some money out, and I don't mind if maybe they're a little shaky credit-wise or experience because I like the asset, I wouldn't mind owning the asset. Well, okay. Some lenders, I have a lot of retirees. They just want to go to their mailbox and get money. I have, one lender's a widow. I want to make sure she gets mailbox money. She just knows real estate. She doesn't want headaches. So I a lot of times match a lender to a property, and thankfully, in all the hundreds of millions of dollars I've underwritten and loaned on, my foreclosure rate is single digit. I mean, you've not done a foreclosure for me in
at all, really, in the last 7-8 years. Yeah,
no, I don't think
can't remember one. Yeah, maybe a threatening letter years ago.
A letter,
but
But because here's the deal: if you're not going to communicate with me, then you're going to get a letter. And sometimes I just say, screw it, just file.
Sure, yeah.
Because I'm
move on.
You're
done with the nonsense. Let's just do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is not a game we're playing. This is business.
Yeah, and life is short, and you don't have time to deal with this.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because the less I care, the less I do, the more I make.
I love that. That's actually pretty interesting, right?
Another Dweckism.
Yeah.
We got to get a little book together,
Yeah.
like a little
No, it's together.
coffee table book. 100 Dweckisms.
No, it's going to be published this year.
Good. I love it.
Yeah,
Oh, you're being serious.
Oh yeah, I'm being serious as a heart attack.
I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that'll be the first book on my coffee table. Yeah.
Yeah, right here. Here's another one. Ready?
Go ahead.
Pleasant persistence wears down resistance.
So true.
With honey.
That is what my mom, who's my partner in the real estate business, is a pro at, right? Because we list property. Obviously, sellers like to list high sometimes.
Yep.
And so she's just super
She's
sweet,
extremely
nice,
pleasant, and very persistent.
and very resistant. So eventually,
She's a door knocker. So
good for her.
No one does that anymore. She's one of the only door knockers.
I'm going to tell you something.
She door knocks in East Boca, and she
kills it. She's the best. She's the best in the business. I'll put my name to that.
And her personality is fantastic. You love her.
First of all, no offense, guys, but people are not opening up their doors to us.
I tried.
To your mom? No.
I tried. And I tried it to get I went one way, she went the other way. She's a killer, man.
Now I tell you, it's interesting. I have